Hello there. We'll be building a bakery patisserie cake shop today with a shirtless man calendar. So I got all of the things out as usual. And that's an espresso bar. Is it an espresso bar? It has cake in it. I just picked it because it has cakes in it, to be honest. So we have some ice cream. They also do ice cream here. Some cupcakes. We have some jars, we have some other little cakes and croissants. And Grandma's cookbook, well, Nana's cookbook, which was necessary. Some toast, if you're a bit simple and you're not into cake, and you're a bit basic, and you just want some toast. Or as they call it near me, toast. So we're going to split this one into sort of 3 different sections. We're going a bit different with this one. We're going to have this serving sort of bar area. And I end up using a CC archway for this because the base game ones, they don't come in many sizes. And this one looked the part. I quickly learned that this was not going to have much space. The space was limiting, so I had to get a bit creative and do a lot of nudging backwards and forwards. I hope that's functional. Have I play tested it? No, of course not. But we're going to do a kitchen in the back. I was of a few minds. I didn't know whether to do the kitchen as a bit more modern industrial or whether to leave it as a bit more, homely looking, because this is built into what, would have been a house at some point and has been renovated. And I ended up going a little bit more homely for the kitchen. I didn't include everything in the kitchen, so we're not putting a fridge in. We're putting this freezer item in. I didn't want, if I end up having Sims coming to this lot, I didn't want them walking through the cake shop and then just deciding to start cooking in a kitchen that does not belong to them. There were some displays at the front. That quickly turns into a mess of overlapping items, which I eventually sort. But we're going to add in a cake mixer and a waffle maker. I figured, waffles are pretty patisserie. Although my Belgian friend always says that British waffles are absolutely disgusting and a great shame. A bin, and then I'm gonna divide the kitchen from the serving area, and this is because I wanted to add a backdrop and keep the kitchen fairly plain. I say that, but I haven't finished the kitchen yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. So I played around with a few different colours in this build too, which you'll see me do. I left the kitchen very plain, but I wasn't sure what colours I wanted to use. I of course used these panels again, which I've used in like every build. I feel like that's my new favourite item. And I tried to go with a colour scheme that matched this sort of canopy, whatever you want to call it, that's on the front, the red and orange. But then it wasn't working for me. It's hard with a bakery or a cake shop because I feel like there's not a super obvious theme to go with. There's a few different ones that you could do, but this ended up looking a bit too much like a sherbet sweet shop or something. So I changed it out for this pastel-y pink hue and some nice tiles. I put some aprons, which of course are necessary. But yeah, the kitchen, I hope the kitchen isn't actually functional. It's more like a suggestion of the cakes being produced fresh on site rather than wanting Sims to actually use the kitchen. And I tried putting in these like ribbon tassel things, but then decided that no, that they were horrific. I hated them, so they're gone. Goodbye. They were giving more like chip shop than cake shop. I thought these hearts were cute. They're definitely the kind of thing I could imagine someone who's, maybe a millennial cake shop owner would definitely put those hearts on the wall. They're not quite live, laugh, love, but they're getting there. So I added some, they're not too many items in terms of like cakes and confectionery. So I added some, in the UK we're obsessed with scones or scones, depending on where you're from. And they're always with jam and cream. So I put some jam and cream in there. Although there's actually no scones, so maybe you just eat jam and cream with a spoon. I put a couple of ice creams I didn't want to put too many ice creams though, because I started to, well, overthink it, and I thought there's ice cream there, but where are they making the ice cream? And then it just became unrealistic. I'm using these box shelves again, which they cause me nothing but grief. I don't know why I used them. I didn't size them down this time, so maybe that's why it went a little smoother. And then a few of these cake display pedestals? I don't know what you call them. A few cupcakes. Although if I'm going to a bakery, I'm not buying a cupcake. Like, I could make that at home. I'm gonna get like... What am I getting? You know, like a tart or something. Cheesecake is a good one. And then I made this display in the window too. This is where... See, this is the moment where I realized I have a problem. Because this is not all gonna fit. But I still want the espresso bar to be functional and come through the archway. So everything's overlapping. I can't size that down because then the clutter doesn't size down with it. And so, in a typical me fashion, I just pretended that the problem did not exist for a little while. Put a bowl of fruit. If you want to go into a cake shop and pretend that you're mildly healthy, everyone knows you're not, you're in a cake shop, you're there for cake. But if you feel better about it, go you. And then I'm still, see, the solution is so obvious to me now I'm watching it back, but at this point I still was like, this is an absolute dilemma, and I've just made it worse because I've now put this half wall here, which takes up even more space and overlaps with this fridge item. What am I gonna do? So I ignored it until I realized there. Wow, problem solved. That was so simple, and yet it took me so long. We just have a small fridge. And then I wanted to put, I didn't know whether I wanted shutters or curtains or blinds, or what exactly I wanted. The blinds weren't working for me. I wanted something a bit more colourful, and then I saw these and I placed these in. But then those weren't working for me either, and you know, within a minute I went from thinking, oh, these are cute, to like, these are absolutely abhorrent, grotesque, get rid of them. So I did, and I used this striped one instead, because it matched the little overhang outside really nicely, and I thought it looked cute above the serving area too. So they were actually too large with some overlap, but just using them at their base game size. And then if I sized them down in game, they were too small. So I ended up using the tool mod, which I hadn't used very much in this build, but I did use it for this, just to get it, I knocked 10% off the size. And then they line up nicely. And to finish off, I wanted to put a bit more of a display in the window, a few cakes. And then I thought these clutter boxes, they're very versatile, these boxes. You can use them for a lot, but especially in that like pink color, they suddenly look less like storage boxes and more like cake boxes. You know, if you buy a cake, you always get them in, you know, one of these cardboard boxes. But then I swapped out the table for something a bit more narrow and then just floated them up to rest on that lower ledge with the tool mod. Rugs were difficult. First of all, I got out these, well, I thought, you know, this is a cake shop. If I'm ever going to have a reason to use these cake-looking rugs, it's going to be now. So I do, and I use one as just like a foot mat for when you come in through the door. But I'm not the biggest fan of the item. It's a bit too stylized for me. And I put a little seating area for people who've come in and maybe, you know, they've ordered a cake and they're just waiting for it. And then for the middle, I knew I wanted a rug in the middle as well. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted. They were all looking a bit too fresh, but then I found this pink one. And the pink looks a bit faded, as if, you know, it implies like heavy foot traffic, because it's got a little bit dirty, a little bit faded. And then I'm just gonna clutter up the walls a bit. Some aprons and towels in the back. I didn't want to overdo the back because, you know, I'm probably not gonna look at it very much. And then the last thing that was really necessary was a calendar. And I just thought, you know what would be hilarious? If whoever's working back here has just this calendar of a shirtless man and you can see it as a customer through the serving area. But yeah, there we go. Another shorter one. A different aesthetic to the others. I thought it turned out quite cute. But thank you for watching. Be kind to yourselves and have a good rest of your day.